Welcome back to today's audio lesson and a sweet little mini balance for your back. It's part of the feldenkrais teachings, and I'm calling it a mini back balance, because you're going to be doing a more shortened version of it, which is a great way to start to orient yourself to your body. And follow the impulses of strengthening and supporting your back. I love the saying that says, don't ask for a lighter load, ask for a stronger back. So today we're really going to look at one of many of the ways that I teach my clients to be their own support and be their own medicine, and trust that your body mind is there to support you. And this is one of the exercises that we do on your back. So for this one, you're definitely wanting to be on a solid support, a floor, not something soft and malleable like a hammock or a bed, but on a carpet or a hardwood floor with a blanket. And what I find works really, really well is a yoga mat or a carpet or a really nice big towel, so that you've got some level of softness and comfort underneath you, but not too sticky that you kind of get stuck to it if you have bare skin on the floor. We don't want it to be too sticky. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes right now to pause this audio and just get yourself settled in a way that is going to be comfortable for you. Make sure you're warm. So we don't want you to be cold in this in any way. We're wanting to keep the kidneys warm. So get yourself a soft blanket or a throw or something that you can grab if you're a little bit chilly right now. Because I really want you to rest into this exercise without feeling like you're suddenly shivering or cold, and that's going to be a distraction to really be present in this mini balance for your back. Good. Ready? All right. So by now you should be lying on your back, and I want you to just feel yourself, feel your body, where your body makes contact with the floor and it's comfortable, and have your legs stretched out, nice long legs. And if that isn't comfortable for you, if you notice any discomfort, if you have lower back issues, by all means bend your knees up and get yourself comfortable. And as we go along, and as you practice this back balancing exercise in the future, it might be that your spine and your pelvis and the muscles are kept taut when you lie flat on your back, because we're, of course, always activating that deep psoas muscle right in the abdominal areas. And that way they'll start to relax a little bit as you practice the awareness of just intentionally feeling your body, feeling the support underneath you. When I re-entrain my clients in clinic through a breath balancing exercise, I always want them to be aware of the pelvic diaphragm and the pelvic tilt on the in and the out breath, like a really beautiful motion of movement backwards and forwards off the cranial diaphragm that knocks on to the diaphragmatic breath in the rib cage, and then down into the pelvis. And the more you do this, if you have had your legs bent up, and we say go to the mid point of between full long straight legs and bent legs, so your middle position, and eventually you're going to find that you're completely comfortable having your legs long and supine. on the floor. But for now, if that isn't comfortable for you, just notice the discomfort. And as we go on with this exercise and any future ones, it might be that your spine and your pelvis and your muscles do have a little tension still when you lie flat on your back. And they will incrementally, slow and steady, they'll start to relax as you set the intention to be long and supine. And it'll get easier and easier. So if you can't, as I said, you can stand your feet up and bend your knees. Just ensure that your feet are hip width apart and your knees are hip width apart, and your arms can be anywhere that's comfortable for you right now. And just begin by noticing pressure. So noticing where there is pressure against the floor in your body. So that when you do feel yourself imprint onto the ground, notice where that is. Common areas are the back of the shoulder blades, the coccyx, back of the shins. Just take a moment to feel yourself imprint on the ground. Like if you were to lie in soft Play-Doh, where would you see the most pressure from your body's imprinting into that Play-Doh? Just notice, where are you really feeling the heaviness? Where are you most heavy in the floor? So where would the imprints be deeper than other parts that are just barely touching, like the curve of your back, your heels to your shins, that space in between. And as a first time noticing of that right now in this moment, just feel if there is something heavier towards your feet. Back of the heels is where we have the bladder meridian, and this is the consciousness of control. So are you one of these people that dig your heels in, or are you, when you're standing, are you more on the tippy toes, on the front of your toes, or do you roll outward or inward when you're standing? So lying right now, just notice. Is it heavier at the back of the heels, or is it more on the top of your thighs or your shins, or is it perhaps the back of your shoulders? Maybe it's the back of your head or the back of your pelvis. Just check in and see. Remember, there's no wrong or right. It's just how your body is right now. And it's going to shift and change as we move along in this mini balance. And even notice your breath. What do you do with your breathing right now? Where is your attention being drawn towards in your breath cycle? Maybe you haven't even taken attention into your breath because you've been focusing on your body and the pressure points. Or maybe your attention's being drawn outside of your body to other things. To the bird that you'll hear on this audio. Or maybe to your to-do list. Things that you have to get done. Maybe you're going into feeling bad for taking this time to orient yourself and balance your back. So just wherever your attention has gone, remember, energy flows where energy goes, where energy goes, where energy flows. So just bring your attention back. Just bring it back to the simple sense of where your body is resting against the floor and where you feel points of contact. And then even maybe feel points that don't touch. So can you feel where there are areas that have space between them and the ground. So notice that, and maybe also feel if you were to just very slowly, and this is so slow, this is about slowing down, slower than what you're used to do when you're moving. Just feeling the back of your head and very slowly feeling what direction your head wants to roll in. Does it want to roll easier to the left, or is it to the right? Just notice and feel that. And if you were to roll your head, a breeze was to come in and move your head, just blow it, what would be the point of less resistance in rolling your head so that your eyes turn and look to your right? Or would it be easier for your head to roll to the left? Just feel into that and see if there's a preference in the way in which your muscles are toned, if it's easier to roll one way or to the other. Just feel that and try not to stretch it out or compare the left to the right or the right to the left. Just see if you can go slow enough and incremental, small little pieces, enough to go, yeah, that side is a little easier to roll towards. Or maybe if I go like a centimeter to the side and then something stops, just noticing if there's some pain or tightness there. Just be aware of the quality of the movement and how it feels, and then come back to what would be the center for you, the middle. Whatever middle or neutral is for your head. Without judging it, just in the space of curious exploration, one big experiment. Good. All right, and then to start, I'll get you to bend your knees and stand your feet up. So plant your feet firmly underneath your knees. Bend your knees, and maybe you've already had your knees bent, but just if they've been straight right now, I want you to just bend your legs, bend your knees, and you're going to bring your feet up to stand. And it would be the position of a good old-fashioned sit-up, okay? We're not going to do that right now, but that's the position I'm going to ask you to go to. Or if you were to do a movement that would allow you to lift your pelvis off of the floor, you'd need to bring your feet up underneath you in order to do that. So stand your feet on the floor hip width apart. And it's important actually right now that your legs are apart from one another, that they're not touching. And this is also where we're actually activating that deep psoas muscle, because your knees are also going to be apart, and your thighs, so that you've got a really solid base underneath your feet. And where you put your feet in terms of how close to your bottom is going to depend on how tight your hamstrings are, how tight you are in the pelvic girdle. So it's going to depend on your comfort level. So just follow your impulse to a place that you're not having to hold them up with too much effort. And I find that having them a little closer is often a little easier. Good. So now that your feet are standing and supporting you. Just feel the pressure of the feet. And feel if this has changed the angle of your pelvis at all. And it might have, and it might not have. Again, there's no right or wrong. Just notice and maybe lower your legs again slowly. So just put them back down to make yourself long. And feel how you do that. Do you go both legs at once, or did you bring one leg down? And if you did take one leg down at a time, which leg led the way? And then when you had both legs long again, bring them back up as if you were ready to do a sit-up. And just focus your attention, just sense into which was the leading leg, which was the initiating leg in that movement. Did you bring them both up at the same time? Or did one leg move up faster than the other? Was it your left leg or your right leg? And how did you bring them up? Did you bend the leg out to the sides like a froggy position? Or did you bring them straight up? How do you do it? And it's just a small inquiry right now. So just lowering your legs again. Bring them back up to stand so that the feet are hip width apart. Notice how you did this. Because we could spend hours just exploring the different ways that you could actually change your position. Because there's so many different ways to bring the knees up. The legs could stay straight. The knees could stay pointing to the ceiling. Maybe they're rolling out to the side. Or maybe you could have both legs go out or both legs going in. Just be aware of all these different trajectories. This is the tensegrity model of how everything, all the muscles and tendons and bones, all the body parts actually, when they're in tensegrity, share the burden or the load. So there's no bearing down because everything is compensating everything else. And we all have our preferences on how we move. And that's one of the beauties about this work. Just learning how you crawl again can be incredibly powerful in creating more space in your body. And Dr. Feldenkrais, of course, created this not so much on how we do rotor movement patterns over and over again, but how we can figure out different degrees of freedom in which we can move, in which we can explore, where perhaps we've locked up over the years, conditioned ourselves out of natural flow, so that not only the joints and the muscles and the movement pathways can open up, but our capacity to think and be diverse in how we see ourselves in relationship to the world and how we act and how we can have choice can show up again. So we can have more flexibility, less rigidity. Because the rigidity in the mind, in our thoughts, feelings, and emotions is what and how we lock up our body. Remember, the body follows the mind, so your body will always make you right in how it locks up to validate your point of view. So maybe choose a different way now of bringing your legs up to standing on your feet. Maybe you choose a different way of bringing your legs down to be long again. And as you're doing this, notice if you're breathing. Are you holding your breath or clenching your jaw? So many people hold their breath. If you've ever tried to sit up from a lying position, it's one of the ways I assess my clients is how many of them hold their breath in order to pull their arms up to get them to a sitting position and then breathe out. And we're wanting you to use the breath to make it easier for you to move in your body and through the world. So just notice if you're clenching your jaw. When you start to go into more observation and inquiry and exploring this big science experiment called life, just be aware and stay attuned to that. Notice if your eyes are closed or open, so that you can start to sense the differences in how you're bringing your legs up or down. But having your attention be into the interconnectedness, so how you're connecting with the external environment and also with the internal environment of you and your body to the world. All right. Hopefully you've had fun playing with this exploration and you're getting a bit more curious and lightening up and being a little bit more playful in feeling these different trajectories. And I'm really opening this up as an exploration, as a big experiment, while noticing your breath. And of course, when you need to pause, you pause. When you need to take a rest, and then come back. Give yourself permission to follow the impulses. Follow the movement. And can you feel how your body presses against the ground in different places, depending on the trajectory you're moving? So the tensegrity amongst your body parts, your limbs, your butt, your shoulders, your head. So if you bring both legs up at the exact same time, it's going to require a different kind of force, a different energy activation, as opposed to when you bring one leg up at a time. And you're going to feel a different way of being, a different tensegrity model show up, of noticing how you not only move, but in how you also press against the surface that you're lying on. And I really want you to feel a difference. So choose a few variations, a few different ways. Explore it as if this is the first time that you're lying on your back, playing with your body just as a baby would. And I want you to just also remember to watch those baby videos again if you haven't already watched them. And the absolute delight and curiosity as that little baby Liv follows her body's natural response to move and then rock back to its starting position. Because we're learning how to move all the time. And as babies, that's what we do in order to use our bodies. Use the ground underneath us as a support, and using the floor, finding the right angles in which we can move and roll and crawl and sit and stand. So this is a sort of remembering how to feel how supported you are by the earth, by the ground, the earth under your feet. And it's a practice of strengthening those muscles again, and feeling how things move through us and under us and over us and as us, all right? So have a full rest, go through a full breath cycle, because we're just preparing you for the mini balance of the back exercise. And as you're doing this, obviously you're using your back as well as your psoas muscles and your abdominal muscles in tensegrity, in harmony, so we can reestablish more ease in how your body shares the load. Your spine's moving, your pelvis is moving, your head's probably getting engaged in your neck in some way. But just take a moment and let the legs go long, and then see what your comfort level is like now as to where you started. So on a level of 1 to 10, where are you now? Now you've played a little bit with your body, with your limbs and your neck and your head and your pelvis and your spine. What would your imprint in Play-Doh look like now if you were to have painted your back of your body with paint and then laid down on a blank canvas? Is there a difference in the pressure points of what contacts the floor now? What's making the pressure? Is there any change? And there might be and there might not. But I just want to offer you that suggestion as you explore this mini balance. All right. Good. So now bring your feet back up to standing in whatever way you wish and bend your knees. Having your legs be hip width apart, so your feet hip width apart. And you're going to take, first of all, you're going to keep your left foot exactly where it is. Your left foot is to your left, and your left foot is to your left, and your right foot is to the right. So you're going to take your right leg, your right foot off of the ground, and I want you to cross it over the left leg. So make sure you don't move your left foot to the middle, to your midline. Keep it on the left, hip distance away. And you're going to take your whole right leg and cross it over the left. So your right leg is going to be more to the left side of your body now. Just cross the leg. You know, it's like if you were to sit in a chair and be ladylike. That's what you're aiming for. So there's no space between your thighs. You're not doing a Sharon Stone. You're just crossing your legs. And you're going to rest that right foot hanging in the air, just dangling in the air. Your knees are crossed. Your right leg is on top of your left leg. And from this position, you're going to feel that your pelvis is off balance, isn't it? So I want you to adjust your bum cheek, because it's going to be more off the ground. And that's what we want, right? We want your right cheek to be up in the air, because the left bum cheek is taking more of the load. It's taking the weight of your right leg. And your arms, you're probably going to notice that your arms have perhaps shifted their position if they're by your side. And you might notice that they have just increased their pressure with the floor. So I want you to do a movement to lower your legs. So you're gently going to sort of tilt and tip the legs to your right. And it means that your left foot is going to move. So obviously, as you tip the legs to the right, the left foot's going to lift on the outside edge. And you're going to go more to the inside edge of the left foot. So it's probably going to roll inwards because the legs are tilting to your right to accommodate or compensate. So we're shifting the tensegrity. And the foot's going to have to move, but it still stays to the left. So you lower the legs to your right and you see how far do you go comfortably with that. So that you lower it down to the right and you don't go as far as you can. You go comfortably. So this isn't about force. This is just about natural tensegrity, balance. And it might be counterintuitive to many of you who are used to stretching and finding your range, but this isn't about that. This is about feeling how you move your legs, how you feel the left foot on the ground and support the movement. So how you feel the pelvis move across the ground, how you feel your spine maybe twist a little bit, how you perhaps feel your arms bear down and supporting of that movement, and then back to where you started. So there's a lot going on in this simple movement, and we're just really noticing a lot of the things we take for granted in our bodies, way of being in tensegrity with the other parts. So you're lowering and dropping the legs to your right, and the knees are going to point toward your right. But then you come back up and you don't hold it for a stretch so much. You lower them to the right, and then when they get to the comfortable end point, you bring them back up to exactly where they started. It means that the knees are pointing directly up toward the ceiling, specifically the left knee. So as you do this lowering and bringing it up, go really slow. Slow your movements down. And notice if your head is moving. Can you move your eyes and your head as you do this simple leg crossing over? Just try it now. As you lower your legs to your right, allow your head to roll and look to your right as well. Good. Feel the back of your head changing its pressure with the floor. As you feel the pressure change on the left foot. And as you feel the pressure change and compensate across the pelvis, across the lower back, make it a very cohesive and interconnected movement of rolling in a way that you can actually feel the tensegrity movement. What moves as it's rolling and turning? It's dropping the legs, your legs to your right, and you can go as small as you want. Incremental degrees of change. So you can go just a few centimeters, or you can perhaps go half a meter, depending on your comfort level. You get to choose. But the key of this is that I really want to make you aware of the movement itself. So if you find yourself drifting off and getting distracted and thinking about other things, just bring yourself back. Open your eyes. See where you are. Feel the ground under your neck. Feel the movements lowering and coming back. Letting the head and the neck orient to the right. Letting your eyes feel that movement toward the right. And then come back to a resting position and uncross your legs. So slowly, your right leg from your left, and you're going to lower the legs down. So have a rest with your legs out long again, and just feel again the contact that you make with the ground, and even sense the length of your body. If you were to cut yourself down the middle with an imaginary line. This often happens when I use tensegrity stretches with my golfers or my clients that are tight in the pelvic girdle. Oftentimes when we do a range of exercises on the right and then come back to a standing position, the right side is much longer than the left. So since the length of the left hand body from, say, shoulder to foot to bring in an awareness of that line on your left side, and then also have an awareness of the line from your right side down to your right foot. And now you might notice that you're slightly longer on the one side to the other just by doing that simple leg crossover, because you're lengthening the left side of the body, right? So if you think about this, you're lowering the legs to your right and it is opening up the left side. And often, as I said, there's a feeling and a perception that you're much longer, or that there's been a shift into more elongation of that side of the body. And this might not be the case for you, because it depends on where your initial contortion, all the twists or locked up places are in your spine, where you're holding tension in your muscles, in your fascia, in your ligaments. But typically people feel a longer left side after lowering the legs to the right. And the reason is because you're activating both the spinal muscles, the supraspinalis muscles that run up either side of the spine. You're using all the abdominal muscles, but you would be really activating more so on the left of the psoas, of those deeper muscles, as you lower to the right, because the left side has to support the movement. And this is why slowing this movement down is so important, because it's just slowing the invitation all the way back down your back to balance in little incremental degrees of tensegrity. So now bring the feet back up to that standing position, shoulder width apart. And now you're going to keep the right foot exactly where it is to the right. And the right knee is also over the right ankle. So the thigh is also out to the right, and you're going to lift the whole left leg and cross it over the right leg, just like you did before, but we're doing the other side now. So you're going to cross the left leg over to the right. Ladylike style. So your left foot's now dangling to your right on the right side of your right leg. And from here, we're just going to start to lower the legs again, both your legs to your left now. So feeling the tension in the hips, feeling the torque, the tensegrity, as you lower your legs over to the left. And again, slowly, incremental, tiny degrees that are comfortable for you. And then slowly bring them back up again. And remember that going back up is just as important as going back down. So you lower the legs to your left, and then you bring them back up slowly so that they are back in that starting position with your right leg to the right and your left leg in a sense just going along with the ride, freeloading on that leg. And you just repeat this with intention and awareness and ease. If it's not easy for you, going just a few degrees, few centimeters, a few inches, believe it or not, it's still going to have a big impact. It's not about range here. It's about following and noticing how you engage the movement in a way that's intelligent and smart, because you're noticing it. And this is a different way. It's different to doing this without the mindfulness, without awareness, versus doing it with awareness and with mindfulness. This is when so many of us are so disconnected from our bodies that we bend and you throw your back out because you're not being mindful of the movement. So you're just noticing your physiology, your breathing, you're looking at how your jaw is feeling. If you're holding tension in your neck, in your jaw, what's your jaw doing? What's your neck doing? Does it tense when you're trying to slow down? Or can it be easy? So lowering to the left. And just play with the distance here. So how far can you go? How far can you go? But maybe what happens to those body parts when you go only half of the first distance, so shorten the range of the movement. And you'll notice you have a lot of room to play here, a lot of room to experiment with going less, but deeper in the quality of the movement, or maybe experiment with going further, so extending the range, but going much slower. So you lower, and you're lowering to the left with your legs, lowering to the left. And then you're slowly bringing them back up to where they started, to the right. So feel the pressure as you do this across your backside. Feel the ground as it moves underneath your body. Well, you're moving, right, over the ground, but you're feeling the pressure change, feeling how your body connects with the ground. Don't forget about your head. So is your head rolling? Don't forget about your eyes. Could you bring your eyes and your head at the exact same time that the legs drop, and the same time you feel your foot or your right foot change the pressure against the floor, because it has to compensate. It has to create tensegrity within your body parts to make it easy. So just feel the change in the pressure against your right foot, and see if your head can match up with that. Can it also roll and move to your left and then come back at the same time in synchronicity with your legs? So have it roll to the left and then come back. How do you feel the pressure against the shoulders change? And can you feel a ripple effect up your spine, into your sternum, into your collarbone, so that you can feel a change in the shoulders and how they press as you lower your legs to the left and then back up? Can you see that? Can your eyes guide you to the left? Can you match them up at the same time with the legs and the foot as they change, noticing the pressure change and inquiring as to which part wants to go first, the leg or the foot? So just notice, feel how your pelvis rolls across the floor, how the back side, your right side, lifts up and off the ground as you do that. And then feel when you come back to the beginning position, something in your abdominal muscles, in your psoas muscles, in your pelvic girdle. Notice what contracts, and just feel that. And maybe even put your hand on your belly as you lower your legs to your left and let the belly out, let it go. Feel your abdominal muscles maybe have no contraction. They start to extend when you let your leg drop down to the left. As they strengthen and extend, This is where we have flexors and extensor muscles that work in harmony. They work in a dance in tensegrity with each other. As the one lengthens, the other one shortens, and vice versa. So feel how your abdominal muscles need to work when you pull your legs back. And then as you lower your legs again to the left, notice what your back muscles are doing. How are they working to have a controlled movement and in a way mediate the lowering so it doesn't just plop down on the floor, right? So this is a controlled movement, something I learned very well when I did synchronized swimming. It had to be slow. And by going slower, the long muscles on the right side of your back are having to fire and they're having to engage in that movement. You're letting your belly muscles out so that the back muscles can engage properly. But then, when you roll the pelvis back, when you bring the legs back up to where they started, with the right foot standing and the left leg back over to the right, you're having to use the core muscles to tilt the pelvis to bring it back. And then have a rest. All right, so uncross their legs and let them go long. And just again, notice if you feel there's been some lengthening of your body on the right side. Notice how does your right side feel in length compared to the left side. And there might be a difference and there might not. Just take notice, be the observer, notice your breath. Notice if you've kept any tension. Remember our tense and release exercise from the other day. So one of the main goals, if we were to use that word, target, I like target better, but my target of using these movements to explore how your body is working in tensegrity is that the target is that we want to have minimal tension and less effort. So how can you decrease any strain? How can you increase fluidity and flow and ease? Can you bring more of that into these movements, as simple as they are, even if it's a really small incremental change? So let's go back to the first side. So stand the feet back up. Can you remember what to do? Just feel. Notice your feet are hip width across, shoulder distance apart. Keep your left foot to the left. And now you're going to cross the right leg over the left leg, like a lady. And just start to explore this lowering of your legs to your right. Notice where your attention goes when you do that slowly. And notice how much can you pay attention to as you lower your legs and drop them off to the right side. How does your bum cheek on the left tilt and lift? Can you relax your belly and your jaw? Can you let it be free from tension as you lower your legs to the right? Can you feel a lengthening through the front and a bit of contraction through the back? What are you aware of? And then when you bring your legs back to the right, how can that front side of you pull back this heavy leg? Because our legs are quite heavy. They're a big part of us, a necessary part that kept us alive in that flight mode of the nervous system that's telling us to run away or stand our ground. Can you soften your jaw? Can you relax the muscles in your neck or your throat? Can you just soften your gaze? Relax your eyes and let your eyelids droop or close. And what type of excess effort, what past residual tension are you holding as you do this very simple exercise? Just notice that, because this is a very simple movement. Just a simple exploration of noticing tension in your movements. And we call it awareness through movement, because we're bringing attention to places like walking or moving that we just take for granted that our body's going to do it. So how small can you go and still be attentive? And how big can you go and still have a range of flexibility and ease? There's no willing, there's no willpower required, there's no ego involved, there's no force. It's just simply putting your attention, your energy on that. And can your head again be free to roll one way or another? As you lower your legs to your right, could you turn and roll your head to the left? So try that as a little extra fun exploration. Can you have your eyes and your head roll to your left as you lower your legs to the right? What happens when you do that? What happens to your breath? Can it stay and just be easy? Can your throat stay open, or do you feel constriction? Just let that be whatever it wants to be. Unwrap your legs, uncross your legs, and maybe before you completely end this little back mini balance session, have your feet stand up and stay standing on them, and go, just rock. Go to the other side, cross the right leg. Go to the other side, cross your left leg. Whichever way you choose, just feel that foot dangling. If it's your left foot, it's dangling, or if it's your right foot dangling. And just feel and imagine, what would it be like to just lower your legs? So if your right foot is standing and the left foot's dangling, imagine what it would be like to lower your legs to the left, but have your head and your eyes roll to the right. And just sense that, just imagine it. You're not physically going to do it. Just imagine it in your mind's eye, dropping your legs to the left and noticing where your left is. And can you not look, but just notice? Just feel into that. See yourself dropping your legs to the left while at the same time rolling your head and your eyes to the right. And notice, just by thinking that you can already feel your body responding. You're going to feel a pull. And this is that magnetic attraction that I talk of, a magnetic pull, because you're inviting it. So just by thinking it. So feel how there's already that preparation within your innate wisdom, within your body mind, to prepare you before you actually take the physical action. There's still action in the thinking. There's still movement. And this is the tensegrity between body and mind. And then think how can you make this easy and smooth, and allow yourself to already start noticing your breath, noticing any tightness in your throat, in your shoulders, behind your eyes, and then do it. Actually do the movement. So now engage the physical body in allowing your legs to roll and drop to your left. And at the exact same time, have your head and your eyes look and roll to the right. And then just do that slowly a few times so they both go apart, but then you bring them back to the middle, to the starting point at the same time. And then apart, and then back to the middle. And then maybe bring the head back in with the legs now. So for one or two movements, have the head and the legs all roll in synchronicity over to the left. So look to the left as your legs go toward the left. Remembering it's slow, controlled movements. And you can play with this. I want you to play with this. And I'm just giving you a little bit more guidance of another way that you can explore mixing it up and doing variations in these simple controlled movements. And we'll do more, but I just wanted to give you a little taste and then let that be. So let the legs go long. Let the arms come down to your side. Feel the tone in your back and your legs and your pelvis and your neck, in your head, and notice what's shifted, what's changed in your attention to yourself, into the length of the body. Have your eyes opened, or are they still closed? If they're open, see what's in front of you. Feel the ground as you look around. And can you remember way back when we first started this over 50, almost 60 minutes ago? Did you remember which direction was easier for your head to roll? And if you did, tune into that now and see what that feels like. See if there's been a shift there, and there might be and there might not. And I don't ask that you just get an extra brownie point if you can remember and notice how much that's changed for you. And I want to bring the attention now to the change, if there has been change. So can you remember if one side was a little bit tighter or a little bit freer or more open? Just go there now and notice, is it the same or is it different now? Is there more contact with your body and the ground? Then a shift in your tone. How's your body tone feel? What does your nervous system feel like now? Does it feel more relaxed? Have things eased a little bit in tension? Or have they amplified? And with that, I would love for you to just stand up slowly and come up to your feet and just feel now what it feels like to be on your feet again after lying down for almost an hour. Just do your best just to feel, notice what you notice. Notice what your eyes fix on. Are they looking ahead? Are they looking up? Are they looking down? And sometimes these movement lessons are going to change the tone of your muscles, that when we come back to a standing position, our whole skeletal structure, all the fascia, can feel a lot different. And you might just perceive something totally different, but you're not quite sure what that is. And the good news is you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to know exactly what it is. All you have to notice is how it feels to have your feet supporting your body weight. Notice how your feet are supporting you, and take a look. Look a little bit to the left and to the right. Maybe there is a difference in how you turn, how you allow yourself to be supported as you turn by your other muscles and joints and tendons and ligaments. And then go for a little walk, just a little slow stroll around wherever you are. And if you have some time, go for an even longer walk outside. And if you want to come back to the ground and play more with some of these movements, please do. I'm going to end that here. I hope you enjoyed that mini balancing exercise. Let me know how it was for you, what you noticed. Post your comments and insights in the group. And if you stumbled upon this outside of one of my programs and you'd like to know how to do more of this work, or how I could support you privately or within the group, please go to Access Your True Nature. That's yourtruenature.com, and email me your questions. Let me know what you'd like to have more of, and I would be honored to assist you.